back, viewers, and thank you so much for still sticking with us. This is still New Dawn, and we're still on the subject matter, the very, heart-wrenching subject matter of drug abuse and its adverse effects and implications on the health of the ordinary Nigerians. You could hear the testimony of the people on the streets, how people would go and take these drugs and medicines. Some could go blind, some could lose a limb, some could outrightly die, others could develop some form of systemic disease like kidney disease. So here with us, joining us this morning on the studio to talk about this multi-headed hydra called drug abuse is none other than pharmacist Lucky Nwaje. Pharmacist, you're welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
How are you enjoying the weather?
Yeah. Cool weather.
Cool, right?
Very cool.
Absolutely. This is the kind of morning that you want to just snuggle in and just watch a few soap operas. But hey,
I'm telling you
have to do what you have to do.
And of course, again, on a Saturday, when you should have your sleep a little longer. But it's okay. Especially when we're talking about fake drugs.
It's all right. So, pharmacist, you're into pharmaceutical sales and marketing.
Yes.
What does that really entail? Quite very, very quickly, let's understand what does entails being a pharmaceutical sales and marketing person.
Yes, actually, in the pharmacy space, there are various sections, in that whole value chain. Some are involved in drug manufacturing. As a pharmacist, in such people we call them, they're actually production pharmacists. Now, there are also pharmacists who are also involved in community pharmacies where they attend to, they see patients who walk into pharmacies and then they sell those drugs, counsel on the use of medication, of course, give patient advice to on proper use of medications. Also, there's another area of pharmacy where pharmacy is being taught, which we call these ones academic pharmacists. Of course, there's also the area of drug sales, and also pharmacists are also skilled in that area to be able to talk about drug use, its benefits, especially to prescribers, educating doctors, right, on particular drug and the indications of such drugs. So that's the area we're actually playing in drug sales and distribution.
Distribution, brilliant. Drug abuse, right? I think
fake drugs.
Fake drugs.
Yes.
If you ask any average Nigerian, what do you think about the drugs, that you procure from, the market in Nigeria? They'll be like, oh, most of the time they don't work, they're too expensive, they did this, they did that, right? So in your opinion, and given your experience in the field, what are some of the drugs that are mostly, abused and, considered as fake in the Nigerian market today?
Well, just like the director of NAFDAC was here also said that quite a lot of medications in our market, are termed fake. And putting in proper perspective, actually, a fake drug is a drug that is not either properly labeled or a drug that has a suboptimal content, right?
Explain what you mean by suboptimal.
Now, let me give you a typical example. Take, for example, you want to, let's say, common drug, paracetamol. You expect that a tablet of paracetamol should contain 500 milligrams of acetaminophen, which is the active ingredient in that drug. Now, for reasons which the director also tried to, it could be greed, it could be cutting corners, it could also be trying to, yes, greed, maximizing profit, and may just have, let's say, 300 milligram, 350 milligram in that same tablet. Now, why it seems to be working, but actually the dose there is suboptimal and underdose. So, of course, such drugs are termed fake because the patient expects that if I take one tablet, I should have 500 milligrams of, that active ingredient. But when you say suboptimal dose, that means probably something less. Okay, and of course, there are huge implications of such in, for our patients who take them.
a very striking question in my mind right now. We have pharmacists, we have chemists, and most times we experience these fake drugs, expired drugs in chemist stores. So can you actually elaborate what is expected of a chemist, or why should there be a pharmacist and a chemist store?
Well, brilliant question. The chemist, I want to believe that what you mean by chemist is what we probably call patent medicine and proprietary store. Now, just to shed a little light, what informed that? Years ago, why that concept was, that idea was conceptualized to have patent medicine store was because of the reach. Now, pharmacists were few in the country, and most of them were concentrated in urban areas, in towns. And of course, our people in the villages do not have access to medicine. And that was what led to the idea to say, okay, let's have what is like patent medicine, stores that are regulated to have a limit of what they can do. Okay? But because of our system failure, a person who is not trained, to handle drugs, or trained to have limited access to some kind of drug, now stock everything, right? Now, claiming to know all, that's actually a big problem that we have. That was what led to the idea. But of having what you call chemists or patent medicine store. But again, pharmacists are trained people in on proper use, and handling of medications. So they're supposed to, patent medicine stores or chemists are actually supposed to have very limited access to drugs. Just few drugs, right? And then if at that level, access to health, to medications are not enough, then the patients are expected to either go to the hospital, right, or move to town, go to the hospital and get proper medication. So, but the issue there is that these chemists now probably stock all drugs, and that's also one of the issues of system failure that we're talking about.
Okay, moving on.
Yeah.
Looking at regulation of these drugs, especially with those in the chemist angle, will you say that they are being monitored? Their activities are monitored. Then at what level will patients be asked to go to the doctor for proper examination? At what level?
Now, let me take an example. If you have a headache and you're advised, okay, go take paracetamol, and if after 2 or 3 days the headache still subsists, right, then you should go to the hospital.
See your
that
doctor.
is just go see your doctor. So that is just where what it should be, right? So if I hope I answered that correctly.
So what about the regulations? As a community pharmacist, will you say that these chemists and pharmacists are being monitored, their activities?
Yes. In fact, pharmacies are strictly regulated. They have associations. They also have regulatory bodies like NAFDAC. In fact, what the director is doing now is walking into every pharmacy now in Enugu, and of course, on-spot check, unannounced visits, and checking for medicines, counterfeit medicines, fake drugs on the shelves and all that, and they are taking it, of course, and also slamming fines. So I would say that pharmacies are strictly regulated. Of course, they know. All pharmacists know that they are regulated, and of course, they are adhering strictly to that.
All right, Pharmacist Wajay, when we were speaking with the director, there was something he alluded to. He said that after their administration came on board, they had to move into the ports, which meant that initial there were challenges moving into certain areas, in the country to check these things. Now, narrowing it down, cascading down to your level or area of expertise, what are some of the challenges you think the pharmacist or the pharmaceutical ecosystem is having in trying to check the activities of these chemists and patent dealers? What are the challenges, spot on reasons why you guys are still finding it difficult to check their activities?
Just like the director also said, I think there's actually a huge cartel that may be connected, really. And again, our institutions are probably not like NAFDAC, but I'm happy with what is happening now, and either viable or the willpower, enough willpower to be able to check, because NAFDAC is saddled with the responsibility of controlling, monitoring every drug that comes into the country. One of the biggest challenges is that our borders are porous. People coming with such medications from outside countries, beating regulation and bringing such medications into the Nigerian market. And because of our uninformed consumers and citizens, and again, maybe poverty, and again, systems where our cost of medications, our national health insurance system probably not also working, where everybody is all covered, and then you are sure medications you are getting, because actually medications are expensive, and not all of us will be able to, the common may not be able to afford such expensive medicine. And when you see cheap medicines, and looking at your pocket, where we have to pay out of pocket, of course, you don't blame them too much, because looking at cheap medications, and of course, most of those cheap medications, I won't say all, most cheap medications are most times substandard.
Yes.
So
Pharmacists, please,
why should it?
Just a minute, just a follow-up. You've mentioned some actors, key actors. You've mentioned associations, councils that regulate the government, and then the Pharmaceutical Association. What about the customers, right? Aren't there things that they can do to safeguard, protect themselves? I remember one time they will tell you scratch this particular scent. Yeah. So is that mechanism still in play, or is just for some people? What are the little things that consumers can do to protect themselves in this wise?
Yes. Thanks once again. I'm happy with this question. Yes, most pharmaceutical companies, like where I'm coming from, have such confidence you put in your product to ensure that consumers also buy it. Now, what you mentioned now is your mobile authentication system or tools, where you just scratch like a scratch card on it, and you scratch, you see a number, a code, and you send, and then the drug is authenticated. It sends you an instant SMS feedback, and that this drug is real, okay, and from a company. So that's one of the things that agencies like NAFDAC are also insisting on these manufacturing companies to ensure that they put such features in their product. That's also one way to ensure that confidence is instilled in the product. But again, we also need to do a lot of awareness, just like we are doing now, to let our people know that you should also be observant. Now, if you are using a medication and you buy another one and you see that either the color is changing or the shape is not the way that...
Just go straight to say, how do I spot a fake drug?
Yes. We need to really let them know that you need to be conscious, the patient to be conscious, check out color, size and smell of such medications. Once it's different from what you are used to, of course, you should raise alarm and either return it back to the pharmacy. And the second part again is to buy your drugs from authorized pharmacies. They have been trained.
Okay.
They know this. And they have a way of feeding back such companies when their products are treated in the market.
Okay, taking you back to the issue of the poor masses. This poor masses also for ill. So you're telling me that most of these fake drugs are actually drugs, and substandard drugs are actually drugs that are less cost. How are you pharmacists trying to moderate the cost of drugs in the market to also benefit the poor masses?
Yes. Again, like I said, medications are not cheap. But again, it is holistic. I'm happy what the government just did now to having a tax waiver for most pharmaceutical companies. That way, that will also bring down the cost of medication. That's one. And again, our insurance system has to really work where virtually everybody is covered. Okay, and by such, people can have access to medication, all right, and of course, will not have to pay out of pocket. Once such things are done, of course, we can have access to quality medicines and without having to really pay so much for such medicines. If there's a pool where all of us we need to all benefit from.
You have something to say? Please go ahead.
A follow-up.
Yes.
I'm still interested because there was something you said about fake drugs being as a result of the society we are in now, the insufficiency in our economy, or the dwindling standard of the economy and all. So how do we empower these citizens, most especially the pharmacists, to ensure that fake drugs is reduced in Nigeria?
Now, well, the pharmacists are playing key role and frontline role in ensuring that, because the pharmacists, they are empathic people. You know that when you give a medication to your patient, he knows that I expect this medication to work within a short time, within a space of time. I expect to have this outcome. And by the time such outcomes are not, gotten, of course, the pharmacist is actually bothered. So, to answer that, I will ask that the pharmacists are actually in the front role in ensuring that patients get quality medicines. And like I said, not all quality medicines are also expensive. Pharmacists also know how to source such medications from manufacturers, from pharmaceutical companies, and providing advice to to our consumers on the use of medications. Of course, they are able to give other medicines that are also of quality and that can also benefit our patients.
I mean, is there any need as a pharmacist? Do you think that there are needs that you pharmacists would want to actually want the government to look into, like the challenges that you're having in your jobs, that you would want the government to look into and empower the pharmacists to enforce their activities in the public?
Yes, I think this basically has to do with implementation. There are laws already that we have. Our laws are there. We just need to implement these laws. Like what the NAFDAC report, the colleague of ours is doing right now, is to ensure that these drugs are not in the market at all. That means our porous borders will have to look into that. We have to look at all means through which these drugs come into the Nigerian market. And once they are not there, of course, it has huge benefits, on
the citizens.
Absolutely. Pharmacists, you've spoken a lot about awareness, the need for awareness. We've talked about pharmacists being at the forefront of this battle. Now, my question is there a forum or a platform where pharmacists, or at least their associations or councils, can interact with, the people? Maybe you have complaints or you have this issue you want to discuss. Do you have a platform, or is there a framework to get, focus group or, stakeholders to the table? And if there is, how does it play out?
Yes, I hope I get you right. Yes, I think, yes, there are platforms for pharmacy, there are associations that we have. And of course, forum like this is also a huge opportunity.
Yes, I understand that, but I'm saying from your own perspective, is there a platform where you have a meeting or a conversation with the people directly to say, hey, because, for example, you spoke about authorized pharmacy. How would they know which pharmacy or chemist shop is authorized? Take, for instance, a Mama Nkechi that is selling, apologies to any Mama Nkechi. I'm not referring to you. But you know what I mean, you get it drift.
Yes, sure.
How would they know a pharmacy or a chemist shop that is authorized and the one that is not? So there should be, is there a meeting point between you guys, the specialists, the professionals, and the people?
Consumers.
Yes, actually, the arm of pharmacy practice, so to speak, that actually have this interface, this close interface with the community is, or are the community pharmacies. And of course, they are visible everywhere. First, you would see it clearly written pharmacy, and then there's usually a neon sign, there's usually a pharmacy logo. Once you see that pharmacy logo with the prescription logo, the
Could you describe,
RX,
okay, the RX?
yeah, the RX, okay, that's actually a pharmacy logo. And then when you see that, know that that's actually a registered pharmacy, and then you can patronize your medications from such pharmacies, and you can go home and sleep. That medication should get there, of course.
Okay, in addition to what Dr. Chizi just asked, looking at awareness, because this consumers also need to be informed, well informed. How do you, pharmacists association, go about it? Trying to create a proper awareness, educate these people, sensitize them in the society. So how do you run it?
Yes, yes. Well, as professionals, we actually have conferences where we meet, and of course, challenges like these are looked at, and of course, communicate, come up with, where we come on air like this and then talk about it. We also have different pharmacies programs on different media where we also create this awareness, you know, to reach the consumers and letting them know that pharmacists are the professionals to trust, knowing full well that they are experts in drug handling.
Well, it's been a roller coaster on this topic, really, and we actually hoped we would have you longer, but as it stands, we have to let you go. So thank you for your time. Thank you for the enlightenment. I'm sure viewers at home must have learned a thing or two from the pharmacist in the house. He spoke about how you can identify a pharmacist shop or a chemist shop who is authorized by the neon sign of RX, that is the prescription sign. So that is one of the ways you get to know, hey, these guys are real. So guys, they are putting power back into your hand to ensure that you protect yourselves. Yes, the government is doing their bit. Yes, NAFDAC is doing its bit, but you also have a responsibility to protect yourself. So we go on a short break, and when we come back, entertainment news. Stay with us.